Hi there. My name is Ben-Shabat, and I would like to tell you a story that happened to us yesterday on Simchat Torah 2025, exactly 2 years to the day after our beloved hostages were taken captive. I live in Scottsdale, Arizona, which is a suburb of Phoenix, and almost a year ago, I received a WhatsApp request from an old friend of ours. She said she had another person she knew who had come into a little bit of a hard time and needed some help and was asking around and trying to see if they could find somebody to help. So we contributed to this other person in need and thought that was the end of it. Nothing else was going to come of it. And then a little bit later, we got another follow-up message from this same friend of ours and said, the other person would like to send you a thank you. We said, no need, absolutely no need for the thank you. It was given anonymously with love, no need for anything whatsoever. Okay, a little bit more time goes on. We hear from her a third time and she says, no, she really wants to send you a thank you and she's not going to let go until you at least give her a way to reach out. Can you at least give me your address and then she can do with it what she wants to from there? I said, okay, no problem. So we gave her our address, our mailing address, but we did not give her our names. To this day, she doesn't know our names. And okay, thought that was the end of it. So about a month after that, I received a package in the mail, a manila envelope, like a legal size envelope. And inside of it was a short thank you letter along with two other things. It had this piece of artwork, and she said, I can't return the gift in any other way for now, but I would like to give you a piece of my own heart. So she made us this gorgeous, I think it was made with pencil sketch, etc. So she said, I want to give you this. And then she gave us one other thing. She gave us this little card. It's a card of the hostages. This one is of Guy Gilboa Dalal, and on the back of it is a pasuk of Tehillim, a verse of Psalms, a chapter of Psalms, with a request to say the Psalms on behalf of the hostages. Okay, so Chassidus teaches us from the Baal Shem Tov, the founder of Chassidus, that every single thing that comes along your path is meant for a very specific reason, and you should pay really close attention to it, especially if it comes in a strange way, something out of the ordinary. So I had this sitting beside me for a long time. I ended up putting it in my Sefer Tehillim, in my book of Psalms, and I paper clipped it. This said that it was chapter 121, so I put it on a paper clip and I put it in my book of Psalms, and I was reading it myself as much as I could every day on behalf of the release of the hostages. So that went on for a few months. Fast forward, right after Pesach, after Passover, we fly to Eretz Yisrael to visit schools for our son and to visit family. And while we're there, the bomb on the Tel Aviv airport happened, and so it delayed our flight by over a week. And so we were stuck in Jerusalem, for a week longer than we had planned. Now, the Rebbe also teaches us, the Lubavitcher Rebbe teaches that a Jew is never stuck. I really wasn't thinking about it at the time, but we were right next to the hotel, so I took it upon myself to walk back and forth to the Kotel, the Western Wall, to pray and read Tehillim every day while I was there. So while I was sitting there reading Tehillim, the idea kept coming to me to do two things. Number one, to take it upon myself to read Sefer Tehillim, the book of Psalms, every day for 40 days. I had heard a few times there are massive openings that happen in the world when you do this. And then the other thing that I started thinking about was, well, maybe if I don't just read it myself, but maybe if I invite other people to read it along with me, maybe that would be more powerful than if I'm just reading it myself. And I just wasn't sure which one to do. So I did end up taking upon myself the last couple of days while we were in Israel to read Tehillim, and to read it every day for 40 days. And the one thing that I was asking for while I was reading Tehillim was for the release of the hostages. And then a couple of days after I started reading the Tehillim, I thought, you know what? I just can't do this by myself. I really feel like other people's prayers would be so much more powerful than just mine alone, even if I'm reading it every day for 40 days, because the Tzemach Tzedek teaches us, who was the third Lubavitcher Rebbe, teaches that if a person would only know the power on high of reading Psalms, we would read them without ceasing because the verses of Psalms storm the gates of heaven and blow the doors of heaven right open so that our prayers go straight up to heaven. So when we got back from Israel, I opened a little WhatsApp group and I just started inviting anybody I could think of, sending it out and asking them to pray, and specifically to pray for Guy Gilboa Dalla. Now, the day or two after I opened the group, I happened to see a post on social media that Guy wasn't abducted into to Gaza by himself, but that he was actually abducted along with his best friend, Aviatar David. So I thought, well, gosh, if they're best friends and they're there together, there's no way we could pray for only one of them without praying for the other. So we added Eviatar to the purpose of the group, and everybody that was coming into the group, we opened a little a link of Tehillim, and everybody was encouraged to read at least one chapter a day of Psalms on behalf of Guy and Eviatar, and we were trying to get as many people as we could into this group. So the group never grew so big. It wasn't like a huge thing. But the people that were in the group were very faithful and very consistent. And I read the whole book of Psalms every day for 40 days. And then we kept going way after that, actually, all the way until right before Shmini Atzeret and Simchat Torah came in just 3 days ago. We saw the release, we were able to see the release of the hostages Monday morning here in Arizona. And then Monday night is when the holiday came in. So it was like mamish, we were in lights, we were dancing, we were so excited. It was the most happy Shmini Atzeret and Simchat Torah that we could have ever even imagined. Like, our prayers were answered after 2 years of the whole world of Jews praying for all the hostages. Now, here is where the crazy miracle comes in, even on top of everything that we've just shared. So on the day of Simchat Torah, a kid comes in, a young man, a former soldier. And my brother-in-law comes up to me. We're in the middle of going around the table and everyone's taking good decisions upon themselves, making l'chaims. It's a beautiful Simchat Torah, early afternoon, right before Musaf. We're about to start the Hakafot, and where everyone's going around the table and taking good deeds upon themselves. And my brother-in-law comes over. He says, Haya, you're not going to believe who just walked in the door. I said, what? He said, one of the very good friends of Eviatar David just walked in. They grew up together. They were in the army together, in the Navy, actually, in the Navy branch of the Israeli army. And he was also friends with Guy. And he's been in close contact with their families the entire time. And he is here to tell the personal story of their rescue and release. I couldn't believe it. Talk about a God wink, how it came exactly full circle. Not only did Hashem release the soldiers and all of the hostages exactly 2 years to the day from when they were abducted, but on that very day of Simchat Torah, God sends on the other side of the world, literally the other side of the world, he sends a close personal friend of the two boys that we had been praying for almost a solid year, every single day for 6 months since Passover. I've been praying for them off and on as much as I could, and I finally got focused and got my act together and started off with 40 days of the full book of Tehillim, and then I got other people to pray along with me, and we were consistent and faithful every day for 6 months. But even then, when the hostages were released, we had no idea. We had no idea. I mean, we hope that our prayers are heard. We feel like we're doing the absolute best that we can. But who are we? We're just teeny tiny, simple Jews. We're nothing to nobody, and that's how we all feel. And we just don't ever know if our prayers pay off, if they work, if they land, if they go anywhere except for right up to the ceiling. And literally, on the day of Simchat Torah, Hashem sends a friend of Eviatar and Guy into our little tiny shul in Scottsdale, Arizona, with a personal story of the release to send us a wink and a hug and say, I've heard your prayers. I'm Yisrael Chai. We are all one body. We are all connected. This kid never heard of us, never should have heard of us, had no idea who we were, had no reason, no agenda, no motive whatsoever, but just to walk in and share from his overflowing happiness of knowing that his friends were released. And he had no idea how much we were behind the scenes praying and davening and just crying our hearts out to Hashem that our brothers and sisters would come back. So if you ever wonder if your prayers are being heard, just know that it has nothing to do with deserve level. It has nothing to do with your status or what you've done or who your daddy is or how much tzedakah you give. The heart and the cries and the prayers of a Jew are always heard on high. L'chaim, l'chaim, and mazel tov to all of us that our beloved hostages have been returned home. Am Yisrael Chai.